This is a Dragon Blazer production, and I am the little boogeyman.
All right. Coming down the aisle, it's the podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Welcome to another exciting episode of the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
Oh, wow. A little long-winded there, aren't you?
A little different.
A little different?
We're going a little different.
Okay, fair enough. So, today we're going to go back in time to 1993 Survivor Series.
Yes.
But
it's
before we...
my pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah, this is your favorite pay-per-view?
My pay-per-view.
And it's in the month of your birthday. It's a Thanksgiving tradition.
It better not ruin it like it did last time when there was only one Survivor Series match.
So I've been watching Monday Night Raw, and there's definitely Survivor Series matches. So you will be pleasantly surprised and happy. They are advertising different matches. There is even a match with a team of all Doinks.
All Doinks?
All Doinks.
It's my favorite match.
Best
match of the night.
So yeah, I can't remember. I think maybe facing Bam Bam Bigelow and some other guys on the team. But yeah, there's a team of all Doinks. The big match is between Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers, and what was originally supposed to be Tatanka, but got replaced with The Undertaker.
So, wait a minute. So, Tatanka is not in the Survivor Series?
I know what the poster says.
I see this poster. And I see the Steiner brothers, and I see Lex Luger.
Okay,
and,
so do you remember being introduced to a new wrestler on the SummerSlam pay-per-view named Ludwig Borga?
Unfortunately.
Okay, well, Ludwig Borga had a one-on-one match with Tatanka and defeated him. Tatanka's undefeated streak is officially over.
On Raw?
It was not on Raw, but they talked about it on Raw. It was like on one of their Saturday shows or something.
On a Saturday show to Ludwig fucking Borga?
You have to remember, back in these days, Raw was not necessarily your most prominent show.
I don't even care about that part. It's not on a pay-per-view is what I'm saying.
It was not on a pay-per-view.
And it's to Ludwig fucking Borga.
Yes. And he is teaming up with Yokozuna and the Mounties. The tag team of the Mounties. So, anyhow, after the match, they kind of ganged up on him and beat him up and took him out. He was announced that he was injured. I don't know if it's kayfabe or if he might have really got injured. But I'm guessing it was real because Tatanka was actually on the poster and got replaced. Like, this happened like a week before Survivor Series. So, yeah, it literally happened I think about a week and a half before Survivor Series. Tatanka gets injured.
And we can't be taking the Native American off of the Thanksgiving poster they got.
Matter of fact, when we look for our picture, obviously we have to find a picture and we have to put it down for our podcast. You have to go and look for the picture of The Undertaker before this Survivor Series. It will be a great picture. I've never seen this before. I didn't know it existed, but The Undertaker comes out as the fourth member to replace Tatanka, and he opens up his long jacket, his duster. Yeah. He opens it up, and it's got the American colors in the inside.
Oh, jeez.
It is a really cool picture that I've never thought I'd ever seen. I'll have to show it to you. But The Undertaker is sporting the red, white, and blue, because the whole idea of this match is it's pretty much the Americans versus the un-Americans. So that is the whole kind of, America yay. Obviously, Lex Luger is the lead of their team, which they were doing the whole he is the American Lex Express. Did you find it? Yes, that's the picture. So
It's
yeah.
got the old 13 Colonies flag on there.
Yeah, so it was a really cool moment, though, because I've never seen The Undertaker sport red, white, and blue before. I mean, even during his American Badass days, he was still pretty much almost colorless, you know what I mean? He was still pretty just black. But so to see him with multiple colors in the inside of his jacket was really, really cool, I thought. So without further ado, here we go, back to 1993, Survivor Series. Okay, so the first match of the night is a traditional 4-on-4 Survivor Series elimination match.
The way God intended it.
We have the team of Adam Bomb, Diesel, Erwin R. Shyster, and Rick Martel with Harvey Whippleman in their corner versus the team of the 1-2-3 Kid, Marty Jannetty, Macho Man Randy Savage, and the bad guy, Razor Ramon.
Who's the good guy? It's bullshit.
Yeah, he is a face at the time. I would like to say that this was probably one of the most exciting Survivor Series matches I think I've watched. It kind of had a roller coaster, though. There was the very beginning was high octane, really, really fun. Then there was kind of that slow down period, submission moves, kind of calming down the crowd. And then it kind of went blasted up again. I had a lot of fun watching the Survivor Series match. I thought there was a lot of great stuff. There was a moment where 1-2-3 Kid tried to dive out of the ring, and there was a lot going on there. The referee literally was standing in front of the ropes, and 1-2-3 Kid just jumped from, bounced off the ropes and was coming full speed. Referee got away right on time. He dove out of the ring towards Adam Bomb. Adam Bomb catches him and slams him on the ground. It just, everything that went on in that few seconds was just he's gonna run into the ref. Oh my gosh. Oh, he's gonna attack Adam Bomb. And then Adam Bomb catches him. It was just, there was a lot going on there. I thought that was a really cool spot. There was a couple other really fun spots. You also had, during this time on Monday Night Raw, you had a feud going on between the Macho Man Randy Savage and Crush. And, Crush came out, which kind of a weird decision that Crush wasn't on the opposing team. I mean, but once again, at this time in WWF, they did weird things like that. I'd be feuding with this guy, but I'm on a Survivor Series team where I have nothing to do with these opponents. It was just kind of a weird, we're wanting to have a Survivor Series match just to have a Survivor Series match. None of these guys, I don't think, were feuding. Maybe IRS and Razor Ramon, I think, might have been feuding at the time, but there wasn't really any major feuds going on during this match. And like I said, Crush was feuding with Macho, and he wasn't even in the match, but he came out just to, of course, distract Macho Man and of course get Macho Man essentially eliminated because he was worried about Crush. But no, I just thought this was a really, really fun way to kick off the show. I really enjoyed this. So, why don't you go ahead and give us the roundup of eliminations?
Well, Macho Man is the first to get an elimination when he takes out Diesel. The only way that I will accept Diesel being taken out. Flying elbow off the top rope, hits that 1, 2, 3. That's how Diesel goes out. Then, as you mentioned, IRS manages to get the roll up on Macho Man because he was distracted by Crush. Razor Ramon does the Razor's Edge on IRS. We get to see the Razor's Edge again. And takes him out. Then IRS apparently was not super happy about that elimination because he hits Razor Ramon with a briefcase, knocking him out of the ring, and he gets taken out with with a count out.
I'd like to also point out IRS was bleeding, it looked like, from his eye. He had some blood dripping from his eye, so not sure exactly how that happened, But it was just something I noticed.
Well, when you when you mess around with razor edges, they're sharp. They're sharp.
Touche.
The 1-2-3 kid, and this is like bam bam. The 1-2-3 kid jumps off the top rope and hits a sunset flip pin, taking out Rick the Model Martel. And then then he tags Marty Jannetty real quick. Marty Jannetty does the exact same thing on Atom Bomb and gets the 1-2-3. And holy crap, Atom Bomb is your final elimination in this. I've never even heard of Atom Bomb.
He's pretty nuclear. It's cool. So, anyhow, I will actually, I'm going to grade this based on the fact that it's a Survivor Series match. And I know we kind of throw these things around, but I actually really, really had fun and enjoyed this match. And I'm going to give it a solid 4.5. It was fun. I'm going to go with a 3.5 mushroom clouds. Oh, yeah, I didn't give it anything, did I?
No.
So I'm going to... mushroom clouds. Yeah.
Atom Bomb.
Fair enough. Okay, so I'll give it 4.5 briefcases, because, they had the moment with the briefcase, I guess.
All right.
I forgot to think of something. I knew what I wanted to give it. I like I said, I had a lot of fun during this match.
It was a fun match. It was fun.
All right, let's see what we got next. So the next match is a very different scenario here, because it is for the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Championship. So at the time, Jim Cornette had been running Smoky Mountain Wrestling, and they had a cross-promotion thing going on. So they actually had the Smoky Mountain Wrestling Tag Team Championships defended at Survivor Series. It was the champions, the Rock and Roll Express, Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson, versus the Heavenly Bodies, which consist of Jimmy Del Rey and Tom Pritchard, with Jim Cornette in their corner. And this match was
boring.
Okay, so the crowd chanted. So the crowd did chant boring at one time, but there was a couple bright spots in this match. This match wasn't horrific. It was just, I think the crowd didn't know the wrestlers, and it just wasn't an exciting match. But there was a few pretty good moves that I kind of really enjoyed. So I gave it a 2.5 Smoky Mountain titles. I guess, I don't know, whatever.
Yeah, there was a couple okay things. We got to see a double DDT, which I don't think we've seen on this podcast during these matches. In fact, I was kind of trying to talk to Rage a little bit while we were watching it, and I don't know if we've seen a DDT since Jake the Snake Roberts had it as his finisher, because I don't believe we saw it with anyone else, because that was his finisher. So I feel like that's the first time we've seen a DDT on in wrestling since he's been gone. But it wasn't terrible. I mean, but here's a Survivor Series match. We just had that really bad shit show of a match, and here we get two teams nobody knows much about on a different promotion that we don't care about, wrestling for titles that we've never heard of. I don't know. I give this 2 love.
2 love?
Yeah, so that's tennis scoring, if you recall. And this match ended with one of the guys from the Heavenly Bodies jumping off the top of the top of the turnbuckle, hitting the one of the, what was the other team? I don't even know. I don't care.
Rock and Roll Express.
Rock and Roll Express, hitting not Shawn Michaels over the head with a tennis racket, and getting the win because he interfered. So I went with some tennis rules. We could go with 2-all, 2-love, 2 backhand swings. I mean,
so fair enough.
You want to go with that?
And that actually, by the way, yes, new Smoky Mountain champion, tag team champions. As if anybody cares. But yeah, the Rock and Roll Express. I couldn't believe the Rockers came out of retirement. It was crazy. I mean, this is like 30 years later.
We've
obviously.
literally seen both of the Rockers on this show.
I mean, it's crazy. It's like the Rockers, but old.
They came to the past from the future.
It's amazing.
As older guys. And now the Rock and Roll Express, yeah.
I think they actually came back in time to warn Marty Jannetty that his career, you need to do something to fix your career, but they never got a chance. They did tell Shawn, they're like, Shawn, you could have a good career if you do this, this, and this, and then they forgot to get to Marty Jannetty because they decided, hey guys, since you're here, let's defend your titles you've had for 100 years.
Marty, I'm coming back from the year 2028 to tell you, first off, don't tell people that you made someone disappear. Don't do it. Don't tell people that. And you know what else? You know what else you shouldn't do? Talk about having sex with someone you thought was your daughter. Don't make that suggestion. Don't make it. Don't do it, Marty.
Great Scots. Oh my gosh. Okay. Moving on. Okay, so before the next match, we get some interview with Shawn Michaels, where he has replaced Jerry the King Lawler in the Hart versus King and his Knights. The real story behind the scenes is Jerry the King Lawler had some legal issues. We actually looked it up. It turns out he was accused of raping a 15-year-old girl. Obviously, this was 1993. This was before Jerry the King Lawler became the legendary commentator that he became in the late 90s and 2000s. So we can only assume without doing more research
I
that
looked,
nothing he was convicted.
He did not get convicted. I mean, obviously. Otherwise, we have some questions for WWE.
On why WWE has not canceled Jerry Lawler like, some other people.
The charges were dropped.
Okay. So, yeah, those are some pretty serious charges. But anyhow, Shawn Michaels steps in and he does his cocky commentating, which he is so well known for, his arrogance and his brash comments. And then they go to the locker room and they go to Bret Hart and with his father Stu Hart, his brothers Keith, Owen, and Bruce Hart. And it is the Harts versus Shawn Michaels now and his Knights. So after all the talking is done, we get to the ring and we get Shawn Michaels coming down with 3 masked men, a blue knight, a red knight, and a black knight. And beyond, after doing research, we really found out the only one really worth mentioning was the, I believe it was the blue knight.
The blue knight
is Greg the Hammer Valentine is actually the guy behind the mask on the Blue Knight. So that's very interesting to know that was Greg the Hammer Valentine in that mask.
For anyone curious, the other two was Jeff Gaylord for the Black Knight and Barry Horowitz was the Red Knight.
Yeah. So, which I've heard of Barry Horowitz, but he's not really that big of a name, but I've heard his name in wrestling.
Right.
But the Gaylord guy I've never.
Yeah, they
maybe,
all were,
maybe in Meet the Parents I've heard of Gaylord Falker.
They were all from USWA.
Okay.
They were all wrestling over there. I'm assuming Greg was over there at the time. We haven't seen Greg.
So
quite a while.
I'd like to point out that this is by far the worst match I think I've ever seen Bret Hart or Shawn Michaels wrestle in.
Oh, definitely.
And even Owen, I guess.
It was one of the worst matches I think we've there's worse matches than this, but this was
bad.
Pretty terrible. The fans shat all over it.
Yeah, so there was boring chants. We believe we tried to decipher the crowd. We believe we heard bullshit chants.
Yeah.
The crowd was really not into this at all.
Which is fair, because this was not a good match. There's only one really good thing that came out of this match, but the match itself was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, so we're not going to spend a lot of time talking about the actual match, because, I mean, there was a small bright spot, maybe 2 minutes, where Shawn and Bret were in the ring together. But that only happened for maybe 2 minutes.
Yeah, it wasn't long.
But the best spot in this match was how Owen Hart got eliminated, which actually I think I'll go ahead and finish, and then you can do the rundown on the eliminations.
Okay.
But Owen Hart's elimination came with a little controversy where Bret Hart had been poked in the eye, so he tagged Owen Hart in. He went out on the apron, and he got in Owen Hart's way, obviously not knowing because he was blinded, and it caused Owen Hart to get, distracted and get rolled up and pinned.
Well, he got, I believe Owen Hart got thrown into the ropes, knocked his brother down. Bret into the, and I can't believe they got away with this, because he gets hit into the steel cage on the outside.
Yeah. It was a pretty hard hit.
And it lands on a bunch of fans.
Yeah.
Yeah. He knocks the barrier on the outside and knocks into fans. It was very interesting. So yeah, and then Shawn takes advantage and gets the roll-up pin on Owen Hart.
Yeah. So this causes Owen Hart to throw a temper tantrum after his elimination. He finally leaves the ringside. The match continues. Shawn Michaels ends up actually leaving and deciding he was not going to face the rest of the Harts, and he gets counted out. And that is how this match ends as underwhelming as it began. And then Owen Hart comes back out after the match and to confront Bret Hart, gets a little physical, not overly physical, and then starts celebrating in the ring as if he was the reason the team won, and the fans were booing like crazy. It was easy for the fans to boo because they were already kind of booing during this match. So it just kind of helped.
Rage, I take offense. You say that Owen Hart is throwing a temper tantrum? He was justified in his anger, his rage, if you will. He was justified. What was Bret Hart still doing on the outside of the ring? He should have got off the apron a long time ago. Owen Hart was just upset, rightfully so.
So I'm going to tell you, we've heard this before. You think Bret screwed Bret?
Bret screwed Bret. That's right. And Bret screwed Owen Hart.
What about me?
What about him?
So this definitely kicks off Owen Hart as a heel, as like a jealous little brother, which is really my fondest memories of Owen Hart, is being that heel and feuding with his brother. So it was kind of interesting to see that this match kicked it off. And I believe Bret and Owen has a WrestleMania 10 match that tears the house down.
Oh, that would be awesome.
So definitely looking forward to that, and this really started it and set this whole thing in motion. So that was kind of neat but other than that is the only good thing that really happened in this match, is it set up that feud, and it gives us an amazing match at WrestleMania. So go ahead and do the rundown.
So here's the quick rundown for this shit show of a match. Owen Hart hits the Black Knight with a missile drop kick, gets the 1-2-3 after that. Then Bret Hart comes in and submits the Red Knight with the sharpshooter. Then Owen Hart takes his turn to do the sharpshooter on the Blue Knight, taking him out. And as you've already mentioned, Shawn takes out Owen with a roll-up after knocking him into his brother, and then Shawn walks out, gets the count out. Yep, that's how this match goes. Owen Hart clearly did. I mean, he had every reason to celebrate. He took out 2 of them. I mean, he did most of the work here.
Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and give this. I was going to give it a 1, but because of what it leads to and the way the match ended and the story it told afterwards, I'm going to bump it up to a 1.5. Angry, jealous little brothers.
I'm going to give this about 4 for the heel turn. The match, a 0.5. What about me?
Sounds logical.
Yeah, it was a bad match.
It was,
and there's no reason that a Survivor Series pay-per-view should have 5 people that we have never seen or will probably ever hear from again. I mean, I get the 2 Hart brothers. You know, obviously love seeing Owen in there, and it brought up this heel turn. But 3 knights that are masked, that we don't know who they are, that probably are never seen again. Like, there is no reason this should have been a thing.
Yeah, this was bad booking. I don't know if it was just lack of talent in the WWE at the time, or if they just thought this was a good idea. I don't know. It just feels like bad booking.
I also feel like Greg the Hammer Valentine's better than this, and he was not good in that ring.
Definitely. All right. Okay, so the next match we have is Bam Bam Bigelow, Bastion Booger, the Head Shrinkers, Fatu and Samu, with Afa and Luna Vachon in their corner. And then they are facing the team of the Bushwhackers, Luke Doink and Butch Doink, and Men on a Mission, Mabel Doink and Mo Doink. And they with Oscar in their corner. So this is very interesting because on Monday Night Raw, and I've been watching that before the shows, they have been teasing that this was supposed to be 4 Doinks versus Bam Bam Bigelow's team. But it turns out it is 4 Doinks were Men on a Mission and Bushwhackers dressed up as Doink the Clown. So it was very interesting what they did there. And Doink was never in the match at all. So,
never even came out to the ring.
Yeah, so he never came out or anything. But this was an absolute blast. It was a really fun match. There was a lot of great fun spots. All the eliminations were pretty unique and different. I believe Butch took a bucket once and made it look like he was about to throw water on the opponent. It made the opponent. I can't remember who. Well, you've got the eliminations. Okay, it was Fatu. He makes him believe that he's about to dunk him with water. Fatu falls down thinking he's about to get splashed, and then Butch takes advantage and gets the pin. Those are the kind of antics that were going on during this match. So it was a very fun, a lot more entertaining than the last 2 matches we've had to sit through. Yeah. But this was a very bright spot of this show, and I really enjoyed this match.
And it involved 3 disgusting people.
Yes, Bastion Booker is nasty. And then Samu and Fatu, they literally had turkey in their hair.
In their body and everything else. And Bastion Booger was just everywhere as well. The least disgusting person in that ring is Bam Bam Bigelow.
Yes. Bam Bam looked like he was just...
Like he showered?
Yes. Like everybody else just looked nasty.
Including Luna Vachon.
Well, she actually looked pretty top-notch compared to the other 3, so, in my opinion. But like I said, this was a very fun match. I would have to give it, I'll give it 3.5 clowns.
All right, so let me go through the eliminations. This was a fun match. This really was a fun match. The first elimination is Butch Doink rolls up Samu after a water balloon blows up in Samu's face. Mabel eliminates Bastion Booger with a splash. Then, as you mentioned earlier, Butch Doink throws a bucket of nothing at Fatu, tricking him and getting the pin. And then Mabel body slams Bam Bam Bigelow to the ground, and then all four Doinks jump on top of Mabel and get the 1, 2, 3. I love Doink. And I love Doink in this, even though he wasn't in this.
Yeah, so Doink finally shows up on the big screen. I guess their sort of version of an early Titantron.
Yeah.
And reveals that, how did you like my present to you, Bam Bam? So obviously I would hope this feud continues. I don't know if we get a WrestleMania match with these two. I'm not sure what goes on here. But it was a very interesting situation. But the fact that Doink actually didn't get involved, I'm wondering if they continue this feud or whatever happens next. But this was fun. This was a fun one. This is, like I said, it was 3.5. I gave it 3.5.
I'm also giving it 3.5 water balloons in the face.
Yeah. So, like I said, this, if you get a chance, watch this one. It was interesting.
Yeah, this was fun.
Okay, so the main event is the All-Americans, Lex Luger, the Steiner brothers, Rick and Scott Steiner, and The Undertaker with Paul Bearer, versus the Foreign Fanatics, Crush, Quebecer Jacques, Ludwig Borga, and Yokozuna, and they have Jim Cornette, Johnny Polo, and Mr. Fuji in their corner, because, of course, this is a time where you can have all the managers out in a single match.
Right.
Now you watch WWE today and you barely have any managers. But back in the time where you had all sorts of managers, all the managers come. So,
you get a manager.
Yes.
You get a manager. You get a manager. Even if you're Hulk Hogan, you get Jimmy frickin' Hart.
Yeah. So everybody gets a manager. That's kind of the deal. I thought the match was good, but not great. I mean, it was a good match. There was a few spots that kind of stood out. Definitely the Yokozuna and Undertaker stuff towards the end was really good. The Macho Man coming out to interrupt Crush. But I don't know. It was just an okay match for me. I gave it, I'll give it, 3.5 American flags.
All right, so here's the list of eliminations. You got Ludwig catching Rick Steiner from the top rope, slamming him down for a pin. You have Crush getting counted out because he sees Macho Man outside the ring and decides to go attack him, and he gets counted out. Lex Luger drops that controversial forearm from the top rope,
which I've noticed they've stopped mentioning it.
Did they? Yeah,
they mentioned it maybe one time after. I think it was like one time after he became face. They had mentioned it that he had to wear that sleeve, but after that match, he hasn't had to wear that sleeve, and they haven't mentioned it again.
Well, he drops from and takes out Monty Jacques, Quebecer Jacques, or whatever. Then Yokozuna takes out Scott Steiner with a leg drop. Then you have Yokozuna and Yokozuna. Sorry. You have him and Undertaker outside of the ring, fighting, and so much that they get double counted out. And then Lex Luger takes out Ludwig with the flying forearm and gets the win. And then Snow shows up and Santa Claus.
Yes. And then, of course, to celebrate America, Lex Luger grabs Santa Claus and puts him in the torture rack. And then the show ends, goes to credit.
No torture racks.
That doesn't happen?
No, unfortunately, we get no torture racks.
That would have really elevated the Survivor Series for me.
I agree. I agree. Yeah, so this had it was fine. I mean, this wasn't a terrible, I don't know if it's bad as a main event, but decent as if this was just any other match on the card.
I agree with that.
Yeah.
So what do you give it?
I'm gonna give this, 3 ho-ho-hos.
Fair enough. Okay. So, that's gonna do it for that. Let's go ahead and, talk about the, best and worst.
Favorite match of the night.
Okay, so we only have 5 matches to choose from on this show, but I thought there was a clear-cut best match of the night, and it was actually what kicked off the show and led me to foolishly believe this was going to be a great Survivor Series. And that was, we'll call it Team Razor Ramon versus Team IRS. I gave it a 4.5, and I thought that was definitely the highlight of the night. I really enjoyed the Doink the Clown match too, but the wrestling I think was so much better in that first match. It was just a lot better and exciting of a match. But I really it really felt like this was going to be a really good show at the very beginning.
Yeah, I think this is gonna be weird, but I'm picking the match that had Bastion frickin' Booger in it as my best match of the night. I just really enjoyed the Doinks. I enjoyed Bushwhacker Doinks. I enjoyed, it was silly, it was stupid, it was fun.
Okay.
Worst match of the night.
Okay, worst match of the night is the 1993 Survivor Series. No,
you're not wrong.
For real though, I really hate to say this, but it was the Hart family versus HBK and his Knights. This match sucked. And I just don't understand how it sucked. Well, I do understand how it sucked, but even with all the elements that made this match that could have sucked, like you had Owen Hart, you had Bret Hart, and Shawn Michaels, 3 of some of the best performers ever in a wrestling ring.
And I would say the best performers at this show. Out of every single wrestler that was at this show, Shawn Michaels is by far the favorite. And possibly in your favorite of all time. And Bret Hart has been consistently great. Owen Hart we know is good, but we haven't really got to see him too much. He hasn't really had a chance to shine yet.
Yeah.
But I'm with you. This is the worst match of the night. I gave it a 0.5 star.
Yeah, I gave it 1.5 just because they made it interesting at the end with the whole Owen Hart turning heel. That was really fun stuff. I enjoyed seeing that. But the match itself was just dull and bad. And you only put Bret and Shawn together once. And it was like for 2 minutes. And it didn't hold your attention. It's just amazing to see how 5 other wrestlers can bring down a match as bad as they did. It just wasn't up to the caliber of WWF at the time. You know what I mean? Like, the other performers that were performing in this match just were not at a level that they should be showcased at a WWF pay-per-view.
Agreed. Yeah.
And unfortunately, Shawn and Bret and Owen didn't do enough to elevate this match to help mask that and change my mind. And that actually really surprises me.
I agree. It was just an absolutely disappointing match. I can't believe I'm saying that. I hope this is the only time that we have a Shawn and Bret match that I consider one of the worst of the night, but it was just bad.
Yeah, I agree. Survivor Series rankings. Okay, so when we rank these, I think it's no stranger to people that this was bad. This was not a good show. Now, how bad it is, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put my Survivor Series number 6 would be number 1. Number 4 is 2. Number 5 is 3. Number 3 is 4. Number 2 is 5. I'm putting this down at number 7, only above the first Survivor Series. And then, of course,
this
number 1 being number 7. So this would be number 6. Wait, what? This is
the 7th Survivor Series. So
my 7th Survivor Series is my number 6. And then, of course, the first Survivor Series being number 7. I just thought this was bad. I mean, it had one really good Survivor. It had 2 fun ones, and I guess there's only 5 matches, but this was just not a good Survivor Series.
No, I agree, and I think my rankings, other than what I already had, is going to be similar, because I have 4 at the top, then 3, then 6, then 5, then 2, and I'm just putting this just slightly over Survivor Series 1. Survivor Series 7 at 6, then Survivor Series 1 is my worst. I don't think anything is going to surpass 1. Although, in fairness, I don't think Survivor Series 1... Well, we didn't do rankings, but I don't know if any of them were a 0.5 in my book.
Right.
So, but the Doink match was fun. The Razor match was alright. The main event was more disappointing as a main event than a bad match. So, yeah, that's the way I'm looking at it.
Okay.
Very disappointing.
All right, so let's go ahead and plug the pluggables.
Alrighty then. Alright, you can find me on the Dragon Blazer Productions on the Facebooks, the Instagrams, the YouTube. You can find me on the Twitter at Dragon Blazer Pro. And as we've been mentioning for the last couple shows, if you have iTunes, iPodcast, Apple phone, give us those 5 stars. We really like 5 stars. It's just, 5 is just a good number.
I like 5.
I like 5.
5
is a fantastic number, and we would really like 5 of those stars. And give us a review. Tell us what you think.
Okay, you can find The Rage and Blaze Show on Facebook. You can find at The Rage and Blaze Show on Instagram and at Ricky Rayberg on Twitter. And this has been the Rage and Blaze Show's coverage of Survivor Series 1993. Catch us on the next episode. We'll be doing the Royal Rumble, moving into 1994. Don't know what kind of current event wrestling news we'll have for you there, but I do know a new year we should have new video games to talk about. So if you enjoy our take on the wrestling video games, new year, new wrestling games. I haven't looked it up to see how many games there are yet, but we'll squeeze those in. But this has been the Rage and Blaze Show. I'm Rage.
And I'm Blaze.
And good night from Rage's Pit. And here is your winners, and still podcast tag team champions of the world, the Rage and Blaze Show. Thank you for listening.
Hey everyone, this is Blaze from the Raging Blaze and the Boomer and Blaze Show. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe for more wrestling content.